Good evening, everyone. This is Pastor Jeremy. I am coming to you from my new office. I've not really had much time in the office. I was thinking the other day, it feels kind of weird. Most of my time in the church has been when it is relatively empty. And so I have a set of keys, and sometimes I still feel like I'm sneaking in somewhere, which obviously I can be here now, but I don't really know my way around everything yet. I got up a few minutes ago to go look for a water fountain and couldn't find one and filled up my cup. And then I found there's a water cooler right outside the office. So who knew? That was pretty cool. So I'll know that next time. But anyways, I want to thank you all for your messages that you've sent us. If you are unaware, we moved in last week. And on Friday night, I started feeling bad. On Saturday morning, I was feeling worse and thought I'd be cautious and ended up taking a COVID test. It was positive, and so I missed my first Sunday. We did a recorded message for Sunday morning, and thank you for those who have sent messages about that. It's not my ideal way of doing things, but we thought with just the timing of everything, that would be our best way to go. And so tomorrow, which will be actually when you're seeing this Wednesday, is my last official day of quarantine, which is good news. The bad news is my wife Jenny is now feeling really bad. She has taken several tests and they've been negative, but based on my symptoms and her symptoms and the progression of things, we're expecting that she will be testing positive, which means our schedules are still going to be chaotic for a little while. I have a little bit of a dry throat, dry cough kind of thing going on, so I apologize for the COVID cough that'll be coming in tonight's message, but yeah, so that's a few things that are going on. For tonight, my desire is to spend some time actually just doing a little bit of information about myself, somewhat of a testimony. And I say this because most weeks it'll be a traditional devotion. We'll have a scripture or some emphasis, but my suspicion is that for some, this will be your first time hearing from me. And for others, maybe we've met in a few settings, but just be a chance to share a little bit more of some biographical stuff, maybe some things about ideas for the church, but we'll have a lot of time to get into all those things later. And so I'm going to share some things. I don't love recorded video because I think sometimes there's a temptation to be very particular, and if you say something wrong, to want to start over and do it again and again. But one of the things I really value is being authentic. And so I'll tell you this, I did record this once and I didn't like it. So this is the second time, but this is it. So this is more like if we were just streaming it out into the open, like on a Sunday morning, and you'd hear it. And that's kind of what it is. So I hope it's good. And we'll see. So anyway, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of biographical information about myself, a little bit about my story. But, those biographical things, for each thing that is mentioned, there are people and there are stories and ways that the Spirit has worked in my life. And so I am from Lexington, Kentucky, born and raised. When you're born 5 minutes from Rupp Arena, you get to be a Kentucky fan. That's used to be, it was bad in football and good in basketball. Now it's just pretty good for both. But I love Lexington. My parents are still in Lexington. They will actually be coming down to Williamsburg quite frequently. If you attend worship with us on Sundays, you'll get to meet them very soon, and they will be staying with us and giving us some babysitting and just being helpful members of the church body. And so we'll get a chance to meet them at some point. I grew up at Grace Baptist Church. I say this, it doesn't mean much to many of you, but Grace Baptist is very similar growing up to First Baptist Williamsburg. I think there are probably a lot of similarities. It was a dually aligned congregation. It is not anymore, but it was a church that was affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention and the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship from the very beginning. And so I kind of grew up in that world, never understanding it, what that really meant, but even seeing some of the formation of some of the leaders that I had because of that. My childhood pastor, Reverend Terry Freeman, is a really good friend of Dr. John Lepper, who you all have got to know over the last year. And so I've talked to both of them about this transition and everything. And but even Dr. Lepper would come to our church from time to time, and so I knew him growing up as well. And so we're all connected in the Baptist world, especially in Kentucky Baptist life. It's small enough that we tend to maintain those connections, but I'm thankful for them. I attended Georgetown College. I know that's maybe problematic for some of you all. I know where I am now. Georgetown was a good place for me. It was a good place for my family. It's where I met my wife. She is the daughter of Georgetown grads and the granddaughter of Georgetown grads. I still have some involvement with the college through the Marshall Center for Christian Ministry, through a volunteer role, and so I'm still on campus from time to time. But I love sports, but I never really got into the rivalry thing, so I'm not going to be on a bandwagon one way or another when it comes to that sort of thing. Georgetown was great, and when I graduated was 2010. And straight out of college, I was able to go into full-time youth ministry and do full-time seminary. And so it was really interesting. I went to Baptist Seminary of Kentucky, and I served at a church in Cynthiana, Kentucky. And being able to be in a classroom one day a week, learning about church, and then being in church the rest of the week and being able to kind of put those things together provided a healthy perspective. And so I was thankful for that, those 5 years that I was able to have in studying and getting my Master of Divinity. And so, let's see, I want to go in the right order. While I was, right after we graduated from Georgetown, I started dating my wife, Jenny, for the second time. It's a long story. We won't get into the details, but we started dating, and within a year we were married, and it'll be 11 years this December. And so Jenny is just wonderful. She is going to be a first grade teacher at Williamsburg Independent, and so really excited for her. This will be a return to the classroom. She was staying at home with our 3 kids, basically for a lot of reasons, but we wanted at a young age for them to have that time with their mom and for her to be able to be with them and to raise them. But quite frankly, daycare is really expensive too, and so to teach and have 3 kids in daycare didn't make a lot of sense. And so with our kids getting older into school age, she is returning. She is so good at what she does. It is a calling, and she is going to bless so many students and families by this new role. And so I'm excited for her, and I'm excited for the schools and just all that that means. And so I'm really proud of her. So Jenny and I were married while we lived in Cynthiana. We had a brief detour for about a little less than 2 years in Cordova, Tennessee, also serving in youth ministry. Cordova is a suburb of Memphis, and so we were in Memphis for just a little bit. And after Memphis, we spent 5 years in Fort Thomas, First Baptist Church, Fort Thomas, where I served as senior pastor. That is where I'm coming from. We absolutely love the people in First Baptist Fort Thomas. I never thought that I would leave as quickly as we did, and it was 5 years. But it was the hardest decision we'd ever made. And the only reason we made the decision is because we were so impressed by this opportunity at Williamsburg and by the people and just the great things that we had heard. And it just started to really feel like a natural fit. And so we were there. But I spent 5 years in Fort Thomas, and it'll easily be up to this point, it is the best time in our marriage. It is the best time that we've had in ministry. We just really love those people and still think dearly of them, even as we're excited for this time in Williamsburg. So those were biographical things about Jenny and I, but I left out the important stuff about our kids. I have a 6-year-old daughter named Crosley. She is named after Crosley Field. And so a lot of people ask about that. Yes, she's named after a baseball field. But Crosley is a trip. She is awesome. You will get to meet her, and you will know her personality, and she is just wonderful. And so I look forward to you getting a chance to see her more and more. And then we have twin boys, Henry and Asher. They are 4 years old. They are identical. You will see their blonde curly hair and them running all over the place. And they are funny and lots of fun too, lots of energy. And so if you've been anywhere outside near the parsonage of the last week, you've probably heard them screaming at one point or another, trying to get some of that energy out. We're big believers on go outside and play, because I think it's good for them, and it's good for the parents sometimes too, if we're going to be honest. So we have Crosley, we have Henry and Asher, and then we have a dog. We have Maybelle. Miss Maybelle is her full name, but Maybelle is a beagle. Unfortunately, we lost a dog a couple weeks ago, and so Maybelle is adjusting to this transition just like the rest of us, and she is missing her best friend, and so she is barking a lot, and she is kind of going crazy, but we're hoping that this is just a phase as we go through all of this, and things will be back to normal. Okay, that's a lot of information about us And again, that's biography. That's not stories. And so one of the things I wanted to do maybe then after this is to talk about just maybe 2 or 3 short things about what I think are important for churches, but then also some things that excite me about this opportunity in Williamsburg. And so things that are important to me as a pastor is community. Being a part of our community, getting to know those who are around us and figuring out how we can serve those around us in the best ways. I think this is happening here, so that's one of the things that excites me. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but I'm really excited about getting to know all the folks around here and being involved in community projects and making this a better place for everybody to want to live, and hopefully through those relationships being able to share the good news with people and be able to help them to see and experience the grace that comes only through Jesus. And so being a community-minded church is important to me. And then probably the other thing, one of the things that really is important is being real. If you can tell from this, I'm not always super polished, and some of that is by nature. I think that what you see is what you get, and that doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. But I think we need to be honest with each other and say when things are going well, when things aren't going well, to talk about things and not hide away from harsh conversations. And so I hope that you will see that in me, and it's something that I will try to honor. But I'd love to see in you as well, is just this kind of real authenticity that you can find. Okay, 3 things about Williamsburg, First Baptist Church Williamsburg, that excite me. 1, the people. If the people weren't great, we wouldn't be here. And I don't mean that we've been so overwhelmed, not only by the people that we have met. You all have been so good to us already, understanding, our first Sunday and COVID hitting and the changes in schedule and all the things that we were excited about that we haven't been able to do. But just in the transition period and hearing you talk to each other and seeing your care for each other and seeing how you've connected in relationships over the years. I think you like being together, and I think you value serving together. And I think that is so important. And so we're excited to be a part of this. We're excited to join in this work that is being done, and it's because of the people. I don't know if you know this, but when pastors are figuring out if they're willing to go, where God might be calling them to another church, we ask and we try to do our research. And every person that I know who had experience with you all, who had heard stories of you all, said nothing but good things. And we have seen that play out. And so we're really thankful for you all, and we're excited to hopefully get to meet through means that aren't just in screens pretty soon. Second thing is the history. This church has been around for a very long time, and that is because of the faithfulness of those who have gone before us. It is by the faithfulness of those who are gathered here. I am a local church history nerd. I don't care what happened 700 or 800 years ago. I know what I should, and I've studied it, so I'm familiar with those things. But I want to know what was happening here 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 years ago. I love to know those stories. I want to see the earliest pictures and photographs and read about it. And I've got the book. I can't remember what it's called right now, but I have it, and I'm wanting to look through it. That talks about the history, at least through the 80s. But anyways, I think the history is important, and I think we want to honor that. Let's be real. Churches are going to be faced with a lot of challenges in the years to come, but it is a history of faithfulness that allows us to keep pushing forward. And so I want you to know that I very much want to honor the legacy of those who have gone before. This is not a come in and just forget everything that has happened in the past and here's how it's going to be. I'm excited to be at a church that has a strong history. And so I'm thankful for all the things that you have been doing. And I'm looking forward to when I'm past COVID and have a little more time, just kind of roaming through the building, because I also like old churches and I want to go see stuff. And so you may lose me from time to time. I may be searching, but I love kind of looking around the old church buildings. So the people, the history, and then the last thing is the future. I am excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. And I don't know what they are. I am not a big believer at this point in 5 and 10 year plans. I think we need to have general ideas of where we're going, but what did COVID teach us? one week to the next, we're not always sure. And so I think that most places are learning how to strategize maybe a few months ahead or maybe a year out, but really past that, it's just things we'd like to get to. But for right now, I'm excited because our future means that there are really great opportunities that are going to be in front of us next week, next month. Some things that I've already seen as an example. In the time I got here, since I've been here, we've seen the devastation of the Eastern Kentucky cities through all the flooding. And I felt bad because I've been wanting to get up and be active, and because of quarantine, I've not been able to do so. But I've been so impressed about a church that is willing to step in and go and volunteer. We've got people who've already been down there. People are going down. I've seen the collection of items that you all have. I'm seeing all of these things. And this is just like an unexpected opportunity. There will be other opportunities. Now, I'm not excited that there may be more floods. I'm not excited that there's going to be other heartache. But what I'm excited to know is that we have folks who are ready when the moment comes to do what is called, what is necessary. And so I'm excited for the future because there are so many good things that I've seen here. There are so many healthy things that I see in this church that I think there are great opportunities. And so I don't come in with an agenda, excuse me, of what the next couple of years need to look like, but I want us to keep being open to the possibilities and being aware. One of the phrases you'll hear me say a lot is through a pastor influence of mine named David Fitch, and he talks about being a faithful presence. We believe that God is already at work. God is working in Williamsburg, in our homes, in our schools. God is working throughout our state and around the world. God is working in all these places. It is our opportunity to pay attention. And when we see the places where our ability to go in and be a part of that mission are there, that we go in faithfully. We want to be a faithful witness in our community. And so we'll talk more about that in the days to come, but I'm excited for the future. So tonight, this is all I'm sharing. I have some of the bio. I hope that was not too boring for you. Just wanted to share some of that in a format. I would not want to do this on a Sunday morning too much. And so those are some details that you can find about us. Sorry, I'm going to make it through. But I just want to, again, thank you all. We're really ready to get going. And this week has been torture because we were ready. We want our kids to get to see how fun this place is. We want to get our things going and moved in. We want to meet with folks and see firsthand the ministries that you're doing, and all of that will be happening in time. And so I just want to, again, say thank you. And I look forward to seeing you, Lord willing, this coming Sunday. And yeah, so that's all I have for tonight. And I will talk to you all soon.